Porn is everywhere. We see it on our social media feeds, in advertisements, on our televisions. It's almost unavoidable. As of May 2021, porn sites received more website traffic in the US than Twitter, Instagram, Netflix, Pinterest, and LinkedIn combined. The industry makes over $97 billion annually, and that's only internet pornography. While recent rhetoric around platforms such as OnlyFans highlights a new wave of empowerment in the porn industry, there's a much darker reality to what happens behind the scenes. Coercion and abuse are often the undercurrent of this content, the price for people's pleasure. Elise's is just one of many stories of survival.
Don't get any big ideas. They're not gonna happen. You paint yourself white and feel annoyed. There'll be
I think my experience was like a lot of girls. I wasn't looking to get involved in sex work at all. It's never as simple as it seems. I was 15 at the time and living at home with my mom and my 4 younger siblings. We're a fairly happy family, but I was always aware that we didn't have what other families did. We struggled. My mom was a single parent of 5 kids with no regular income and she did the best she could, but it was hard. I think it's easy for the argument of choice to be made for girls and women when we talked about the hardship that come with getting into this industry. But sex work was made to seem like the only viable choice for me to survive at the time. I had no idea what I was actually getting into. I happened to be out in town with some friends one afternoon when a man approached me claiming he was a modeling agent. He said I would be perfect for a job he had available for a new clothing company and that was where it started. How could I say no? He was so personable and my family really needed the extra help with money.
On an unnamed porn site that received 33.5 billion visits in 2018, one of the most popular search terms was teen. This means there's a widely consumed genre of porn dedicated to girls who look, or potentially are, younger than 18 years old. According to the European Parliament report, 75% of people, mostly women, in sex work are between 13 to 25 years old. These chilling statistics prove that adult content is not just an adult issue.
He told me it was going to be a quick weekend trip to London to shoot with a few other girls around my age. I was excited at the opportunity and was relieved that I'd find a way to make some extra cash to get me and my family through the week. But when I got there, the excitement and relief faded very quickly. Very quickly.
As defined by the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act of 2000, the term sex trafficking means the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. The truth is that sex trafficking and porn is much more prevalent than most people realize. According to cases reported by the National Human Trafficking Hotline, pornography was the third most common form of sex trafficking, after escort services and illicit massage businesses.
I got on the train that Friday afternoon and was met at the station in London by the man who had originally approached me back home and taken to what I thought was going to be a photography studio. I soon found myself in a dodgy hotel room, and before I had time to realize what was happening, I'd been dropped. I find it really hard to talk about what happened to me in the following hours and days. I was assaulted and the traumatic experience was captured on camera. All of this happened without my consent. I wasn't even able to consent. I was still a child. All the girls there that weekend were still children.
There is no standard system in place to confirm that participants in pornography gave their consent or are of legal age to do so. Anyone can post anything, and this includes child pornography and image-based abuse. Approximately 1 in 5 pornographic images online are of a minor. Children below the age of 12 were found to be depicted in 78% of videos and images received by the Canadian Centre for Child Protection.
At 15, I wanted to believe the best in people. I thought it was my fault. I thought, how could I have been so stupid? But I was young, and I was vulnerable, and they took complete advantage of me. Following my assaults, I was continuously gaslit into believing that this was exactly what I signed up for, that I knew what I was getting into. I was threatened with more violence if I spoke out, told I'll be sued for more money than I'd seen in my lifetime if I tried to back out. When I finally returned home, I became very withdrawn. I was too ashamed to share what had happened to me with my friends and family. I didn't know how to cope and began having bad panic attacks. I've since been diagnosed with PTSD.
PTSD rates among survivors of the sex industry are as high as those of war veterans. In a study amongst adults working in the industry, 82% reported being physically assaulted, 83% threatened with a weapon, and 68% sexually assaulted while working. And these are only the cases reported in this study.
It wasn't long before the video started to pop up online. I was mortified, and all the trauma of that day just came flooding back to me. Videos of my assaults were being edited and uploaded to popular foreign sites across the internet. Before I had the chance to report them, another one would appear. For many of the other girls that were with me that day, their identities were completely fetishized and degraded.
The porn industry profits off exploiting people's identities. The top view category on Pornhub in 2021 was Japanese, followed closely by lesbian and ebony. These categories and the narratives that are often portrayed in these films perpetuate harmful stereotypes and feed into wider forms of cultural violence against marginalized groups. By fetishizing identities, porn puts these groups at much higher risk of harm, with over 80% of trafficking victims in the US being Black, brown, women, and/or gender non-conforming. Glamorizing abuse and exploitation through porn fuels demand and has serious real-world implications.
Worryingly, image-based abuse is becoming a more and more common experience, specifically for young girls. Image-based abuse is where intimate images are shared without consent, often as an act of vengeance or control. The mental health implications that abusive acts like this have are staggering. It caused me to experience severe depression and anxiety that affects me to this day. We have to understand that image-based abuse is not just about the distribution of explicit content. It's about power dynamics and control.
Elise's experience is not unique. It's one of many. The sex industry and pornography directly benefit from patriarchal structures that feed into harmful forms of cultural violence, stereotyping, and fetishization. While many argue that porn is a means to express sexuality and empower individuals, the veil of empowerment can mask underlying issues of exploitation and objectification. Porn can be empowering for the small minority, but sex is an incredibly dangerous industry for the majority. Porn is everywhere, but so is abuse.